Yeah, don't look at my hair. I just got my housework done. This is the Mrs. Wolfie from Life with the Wolfies, and it's time for more of the recipe box. Okay, we're going to go through some more of Granny Lockhart's book. Now remember, folks, these are actually, my Aunt Audrey and I are not blood relatives, but we are very close. And this is such a precious gift to me. It really, really is, especially since I have nothing really of my own mother's. So for Aunt Audrey to share this with me is really wonderful. Now, what I want to do at this point is I want to go through these and find, I'm going to start photocopying the loose recipes, but I'm also going to photocopy, I'm only going to photocopy the ones that I'm going to use on our the recipes I may use on our half-acre homestead. And right now I'm actually looking for a really particular recipe. Oatmeal cakes, molasses cookies, cheese straws, sour cream molasses cookies. That sounds good. Okay, cupcakes for tea. Drop cookies. There's a lot of cookies. But there is a recipe I am looking for. There's ginger snaps, Weary Willy cake. Coconut pumpkin pie, cornstarch pie. I honestly think that's a custard. 1/4 milk, yolks, cornstarch, sugar, eggs. Yeah, it pretty much sounds like a lemon pie, but without the lemon. It sounds like a custard pie. Marmalade. Canning and preserving. Okay. Now, let's do a little history here. For newcomer BC, in canning, the syrup to be used with the kind of fruit and according to taste. For a thin syrup, which is generally desirable for hard fruits such as apples and pears, use 1 part sugar to 2 parts water. For a medium syrup, 1 part sugar to 1 part water. And for a dense syrup, which is usually best for over very sour fruits, 2 parts sugar, 1 part water. See, you know that what's different here is I think, let me look at my cookbook, because I looked up simple syrups, and I don't think those, I think the 1:1 ratio is the heavy syrup. But nowadays, oh, here we go, a French recipe to cure a cold. Pare and core 4 apples, stew in a breakfast cup of water. I would imagine that would be like a teacup, guys. With sugar to taste and 6 whole cloves. Put through a sieve, return to pan, make thoroughly hot. The gruel must be drunk when the patient is in bed, cozily tucked up for the night. I got this recipe 20 years ago from the famous old doctor at Aix-les-Bains, who used to attend the late Queen on her visits there. He told me that the peasants in Savoy invariably use apple gruel for colds. It is a most soothing remedy and is emphatically the best cure for a cold I know. The old doctor told me he recommended it to his lady patients on every possible occasion for, he said, besides being a cure for colds, apple gruel is one of the best complexion tonics in the world. But drink it hot and go to sleep at once, he added. The British Weekly. Do you get the distinct feeling that the doctor thought women's complaints were fluff? But if you try that recipe, let me know how it turns out if you have a cold. Strawberry sponge pudding, bottled lemonade. 4 lemons, 3.5 pounds sugar, 1 quart boiling water, 2 ounces of tartaric acid. Pare the lemons, blah, blah, blah. Pare the lemons thin, add the sugar, and pour on the quart of boiling water. When cold and the sugar is dissolved, add the juice of the lemons and the tartaric acid. When bottled, this will keep indefinitely. What is tartaric acid, I wonder? Lemon water ice. See, some of this has been marked over. Beef brawn. Has anybody ever heard of beef brawn? For Mrs. W.G. Ontario. An appetizing dish can be made by stewing beef until tender, cutting up fine, seasoning, add it to a little meat stock, and then soak about 1/5 of a box of gelatin in a 1/4 cup of cold water and add to the meat and stock. Stir until well mixed, turn into mold, and set away to harden. This can be varied by adding it, while it's soft, the yolks of eggs and whites of hard-boiled eggs, cut in slices, and bits of boiled ham. Turn out of mold when well hardened. Now, do you remember, I'll link the video, but I made lunch meat with leftover chicken by using the juice, the cooked chicken, and gelatin. So that's not new. That's old world stuff. I am going to, I'm actually going to photocopy this and I'm going to try it. Actually, I'm not going to photocopy it right now. This is my other phone and it has a really good camera. So I'm just going to, oh wow, look at that. See, this camera will allow me to take pictures that are worthy of going into the cookbook. Beef leaf. What's beef leaf? Beef loaf, sorry. For Mrs. W.G. Ontario, 3 pounds lean beef, 1/2 pound of salt pork, ground fine, 2 eggs, and 1 cup of breadcrumbs. 1 tablespoon of sweet cream, 1 teaspoon of summer savory, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Mix all together well. Mold in an oblong pan and turn out into a roasting tin. Bake 1.5 hours and baste occasionally. Well, that's a really huge loaf. That's like 4 pounds of meat. Wait a minute. 3 pounds of lean beef and 1/2 pound, 3.5 pounds. And that's called beef loaf, but they're adding pork to it. There we go. Now, here is a recipe for plain dumplings. Here's a recipe for plain dumplings. Now, let's see if mine's close to the bar. Ingredients: 2 cups of flour, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, cold water to moisten to a soft dough. Water, flour, salt, and baking powder. Drop in from a spoon to the stew. You know what? We're going to try these plain dumplings because there's no oil or milk or anything in them. That is just water, salt, and baking powder. Now, here's an interesting little piece. It says raw potato helps. A piece of raw potato dipped in baking soda will be most effective in banishing tarnish from your silver. Irish stew, baked rhubarb, green tomato pickle, green tomatoes and onions. That's pretty much my recipe. See, some of my recipes have been handed down, right? Now, this is a separate book altogether. So what do we got here? The chocolate bars. Now see, this is where photocopying is going to come in really handy because stuff like this is going to be, if I photocopy it in black and white, I'll be able to read it better. Spice cake, more cakes, much more. Oh my God, this poor thing. What is this? I can't even read that. Corn relish. 18 ears of corn, 4 onions. Okay, that has got to be photocopied. Oh, here's a cartoon for you. I thought being married and keeping house would be fun, but this is terrible. It's your own fault. Why do you use a washboard? How else can I wash clothes? With Rinso. It soaks out your dirt and saves scrubbing. I'll get some right now and prove it to you later. It's true. My wash is 4 or 5 shades whiter without a bit of hard work. Rinso makes washing easier too. Its suds are so kind to hands. Does my pretty bride still hate washing clothes and dishes? No, darling. It's just so much fun with Rinso. Are you kidding me? My pretty darling wife. Does she still hate doing dishes? Wow, have we come a long way. Okay, let's look at this. Now, let me see if I can get a date off of this. Now, do you remember me talking about my Aunt Josie making me the Robert Simpson Company? This was before it was Simpson Sears. This was Simpsons, and my aunt used to get catalogs from them, and she would cut out these little paper children, because they weren't using photographs much back then, and then she would cut out the pictures of the clothes in the catalog and make me paper dolls. Now this has got to be in the late 60s, early to late 60s. The Robert Simpson Company. The eyes of the world turn toward London today, and the great heart of British Empire is full to overflowing with the sincere good wishes for the lifelong happiness of His Royal Highness the Duke of Kent, KG, and his beautiful bride, the Duchess of Kent. Well, that's going to give us a date, isn't it? But they didn't give us a name. Simpsons Christmas shopping hours, 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. The store will be open next Saturday night until 10. Back then, they didn't have stores open on Sunday. Hurrah for the royal holiday! Make it a real event. Bring the children to Arcadian Court for the lunch or afternoon tea. We've prepared a special souvenir menus, and each little visitor may take his or hers home. Arrange a party for your little son or daughter's friends. Telephone Adelaide 8711, local 229, and have the social hostess in Arcadian Court reserve a special table on the 8th floor. Nervous collapse can be avoided. Wow, this is, I got to really handle this delicately, okay? Son's French handmade suit in linen, rose green, maize blue, or green shade, sizes 2, 3, and 4 years, $3.95. So, I need a date here, guys. And I really do not want to handle this overly much. November, obviously. Ah, here we go. The Globe. So this paper was from November 29th, 1934. No wonder the husband thought his wife would be happy doing dishes if she just had Rinso. I hope you enjoyed my browse through, and I'm going to continue to go through this. This book I've already gone through. I'm going to pick the recipes I want to use, for A, for the book, and B, for our half-acre homestead. I will photocopy them so I don't have to handle these too much. I hope you enjoyed the little tidbits. 1939, that's pre-World War II. Wow, eh? Take care, God bless.